Yeah, welcome to my session. Automate going to Azure SQL VMs with PowerShell. So the idea of this is just to work with PowerShell here, because it's a PowerShell. But I presented this safety sheet also to SQL Server groups actually. So I think it's one of the first PowerShell user groups I've been to, and speaking about the first. There is very few words. So my name is Kay Sauter. I'm a good DPA as conductor, moved to Swiss franc, but I'm also basically an architect, the data architect, solution architect, and also data engineer. But I don't do, or not the primary do it is Power BI. Power BI is not really my domain. I also can do it, but I know that there are much better out there on it. So I really love the automated databases that bring them to Azure tools. Also, what I'm doing currently, just stuff like this. I have a blog, kleinumdata.com, which is mostly also about SQL Server, PowerShell, stuff in the cloud, but also Microsoft Fabric in the data engineering area. I have also a user group that's called Data DGIF. DGIF, you don't know this means then Conference Friday. It has nothing to do with religion at all. It's just you have a beer or whatever together. So it also could be water, tea, coffee, I don't mind at all. Just together. I found this during the pandemic when people used to be quite alone. And also was working as a consultant back then myself in a very small big consultancy. So I was alone quite a lot of time. So that's one of the reasons I also developed the script back then. Do you hear us better now? I think so. You think, or do you do? Okay.
Fine. Thank you for your feedback.
Okay. Fine. So also the founder of the co-organizer of Bicep Live, which is an online data conference. This date is now outdated. This year it's going to be December 5th. So this we will organize another conference. Not November, it's December. December. Also, the co-organizer of the Debugging conference used to be actually I started to be there, so it's because I have just time right now. But I'm also the data Debugging API manager. So, yeah. If you have questions, you are welcome to contact me. Please via my blog, for example, via my Twitter or Guides channel, via my email address, or most probably actually LinkedIn. So I know who you are, so you can send me messages. It's a bit easier to communicate that way. So I don't have to know what sort of background is feedback. Yeah. So the code is on the blog. It's getting published this week. So I unfortunately didn't manage to publish it yesterday anymore. I tried to do this, but it's going to be published this week. What we are going to learn today is we will create a VM on Azure with PowerShell. We secure the connection via TSL, SSL, which is important because I will do short data that the RDP is not even be secure. So it's install software on our VM via PowerShell. So we also will really deploy it to the VM and also directly with the script install software. Okay. We will have some words on pricing, and we will also do a restore of databases of on the VM. So we have actually the possibility to also do restore everything. So the deposit we have really fresh start of the year. So agenda. Why would we do this, and what the kind of architecture is? What is the idea of the architecture of this? Security, I already mentioned it a bit. The decoding tools, then the demo. I just before about 45 minutes ago, I actually deployed a fresh VM, so we have a fresh VM with the intricacies. I started deploying it because it takes about 20 minutes, and I just want to be sure that it's deployed and it's truly there always. So why didn't we do that? I mean, that's not intuitively understandable, but if you want to have the same effect of this again and again, if you, for example, if you block something and if something happens, you have a disaster, then you easily can redeploy it. So you have also the possibility, for example, to give it to a customer and test something. You have the possibility to, to have many use cases that way, because you really have the possibility to reuse the same code again. You can delete it, but when it is needed. So if you have something that happens during development, or the customer is done now with this showcase you built, then you just can delete it and redeploy it for the next customer. Testing is another topic if you really want to test the cases, different cases. Again, you also can test it. Showcasing that is, and it's also actually a possibility to save costs, because what you can do is you can say, okay, I have a VM that is basically only available if people run it. It's say, for example, if you work from 8 to 5 or 6, basically, then you basically have the possibility to switch off the VM during the night. So you really save the cost during the night time. You only use the capacity units during the daytime. And also the space. So that's basically what you also pay for per year. It's not just the capacity unit, but also the hosting space for the VM, so the storage. Yeah, so it also becomes the question: why would we use PowerShell and not, for example, it's a kind of formal or Bicep? Because it's a native tool that is really provided by Microsoft. So it's actually the Bicep, but a lot of VBAs already use PowerShell. You will also see recent program later. That's also have alternatives, like I said. It's also native by Microsoft. The Azure Resource Manager by Microsoft, which is actually extremely hard to learn because it's just JSON. That is that way. It's not really. It is a readable overview. You will see the next slide actually. Bicep, I already mentioned it, is actually strong, is very capable, but it's a different language again. So if you're a DPA, do a lot of other stuff, then it might be that you don't really want to learn another language. It also has a quite steep learning curve. Also, it's own world. But if you have it's already knowledge in PowerShell, then it can actually be easier for you to work with PowerShell. This is actually also what happened to me during the pandemic. I was scripting stuff in PowerShell, and during that time, actually, Bicep didn't really exist yet. It was in the very review still. So I did actually start to just to deploy VMs, also potentially so we could show it to the customers, but also for our own development. So we have something in the web as a server, so we can work on the developments with that. Another possibility is, of course, Ansible by GitHub. There are many other tools like this, Chef, Puppet, and stuff like this. which I don't really know of, but the most popular nowadays in Switzerland probably. Yeah, so I would say that this solution I'm showing you is can use the case, the single bullet for everything. It's more like for smaller use cases. Although actually I've heard from people that in banks that really use this kind of solution similar to mine with PowerShell, they deploy it and stuff like this. Is it possible, but it's probably not ideal. So it's because if you really want to be a huge scale, then Peloton is Switzerland at least probably the way to go. So I mentioned before, or on the next slide, the exact slide, this is how it looks like. It's actually a really huge JSON file. And in the early 2010s, basically we had only the possibility to deploy things with JSON like this. It was very hard to do so because you have to really remember all the objects, all the brackets and everything. So it was pretty hard and also gets convoluted very quickly. This is just an easy example you see here actually. So it's to introduce JSON like this or like this. So it's a very complex thing. Now let's go to the architecture part. We will see that what we are talking today is actually IaaS, so infrastructure as service. This is this here. I'm not sure if you can see it, and also just back. It's more visible. So this is what here I'm talking about basically. This is so what we have as an advantage with VMs is that you have full control of everything. You have full control of your database. You have full control also full possibilities of everything you can do with SQL Server, which is not the case with SQL Server mentioned instance. Microsoft says it's about 99% of all features is covered in the MI, as a mentioned instance. And if you talk about the Azure SQL database, you have actually even less features on it. So basically, you have only with at the moment, as today, with SQL Server on Azure, we have only on a VM a full capability. So if you deploy a new VM, what happens is we will get basically first something like it's called a resource. Resource group is basically just a grouping mechanism in Azure. So what we need to have if you deploy objects, there could be many objects, for example, let's say virtual network. So also network security group, virtual machine, Azure Bastion, disks. Those are all basically the objects. Then you also can do grouping. So, for example, you have imagine you have a lot of different kinds of solutions, and you might have solutions in Zurich, for example, which is Switzerland North, and you maybe want to have one in Amsterdam, which is West, for example. So you can actually have a group that is groups everything together. The advantage of this is that we can, for example, say I want to move this group now with say France, so some working France, and you just have to use the resource group. Not every single item so you don't have to integrate. It just move the group and have it. So this is the grouping method. Just the idea. So then you have basically as a solution, you have usually you would have a public IP address, which we normally would not want to have because it also exposes your solution to the internet. Hier kommt it's also a bit back into how we solve this, how to execute the solution. That's really the question, how we execute this. So we also have particularly is the possibility to have VMs, multiple VMs that are connected to file storage. So basically, I mean, also come back to this. So the question now is how to bring the backups to the VM, because you don't store the backups that we already have on a VM. We can actually just upload it via drag and drop via Azure Storage Explorer. So it looks a bit like File Explorer, so as we know it in Windows. So you just really can drag and drop here and do copy and paste and put it in the file storage. It's easy here. Not to be confused with block containers. That's not the same. File storage is really relatively cheap, convenient storage. Exactly this actually. This is a storage also that you can add to the VM as a network storage. Okay, so if you go back, and we have that's exactly what I'm saying here. We can map it as a city of the network, also with PowerShell. It's also to show how stuff.
Did you ever try to use, I think it's data transfer? It's like a copy job from your current database to the cloud database?
I'm not sure what you mean now.
You can like migrate the database with import export with
in the migration assistant. So actually, there are two ways. Either you can take the migration assistant as an offer, possibility which is telling you now, and also I think Microsoft released last November or so. It was Azure Arc, which also makes it possible to put inside. So Azure storage basically is you can just add to the idea of this is basically to have a file storage, but then potentially also could do, of course, is almost the same file storage having Git solution. So complete stuff you stuff in the Git. So you can reuse and work it there and just take your development stuff actually here. So you also can connect it to the same network storage, of course, with people VMs. So that's also a possibility. This is actually also a niche use case for this. So this is a bit different as well.
You can use that for like the backup, so it's in the cloud, so you can go
exactly. So if you actually log backup and save it there, because the idea is also to save cost. Also, I mean, you must back then a very small company, 10 people, 3 people in BI, business intelligence. So that was important for us.
Sure. So it's like offsite. And it's not. It's very cheap.
It's very cheap. It's if you focus it really on time, then you can automate this. If you want to use runbooks and say, hey, I want to start this basically every morning 7 o'clock, shut down, post shut down with say 7 o'clock in the morning. So it's basically taken care of for you.
Yeah.
So the rest of the night.
Stuff like auto shutdown and auto stop.
That's actually the biggest.
Okay.
Ja, het werkt wel. Also wir in dem und now quick already talked about it, the RTP over intricacies. So it's if you have an RTP solution that means a VM you want to connect to the VM, then make sure that you have a tunnel over it. You can do it also with VPN, but then you have to handle this yourself. You have to deploy their whole solution yourself. What Microsoft offers basically is something called Azure Bus. So Azure Button is relatively easy to set up. We have basically a solution with this that could be called security as a service. So you just have SSL TLS directly with it. You go basically to Azure portal. You also have the possibility to via browser go to your VM. So you have really the RTP solution in your browser. Exactly, it gets done with, as if you would use a browser normally with SSL. So the public IP address is never exposed. So what you also can do, relatively new now since last year, I think, is you also can have the some tiers of Azure Bastion. Now there are also different tiers of Azure Bastion. I will come back to it. You also have the possibility to use SSH, so you also can actually code it is basically yeah. Alternative, like I said, is VPN. You also can do that, but it's not easy to do this. Usually, infra people within bigger companies would handle this, but not a DBA basically. That's usually
if you have a landing zone and the company provides like private endpoint stuff like that.
Yeah, so if you alone DBA as I was back then, that's pretty much impossible to share. So you have the possibility to connect with SSH. That's basically, but for OTPs, is only for standard and premium. You have the possibility, for example, to connect using peer virtual networks. That's not also for developer, but for the rest, session recording is only for premium. But that's it. This overview is now is just a selection of the kind of long list of everything what you can do. I just wanted to pick some examples what it looks like between those. So now, again, the architecture for this we have is basically Azure portal. So about that already. If you will go to the portal, you can go into the portal. We will do that afterwards quickly. Then we will see that we can go over Ethernet directly from there and get into the Azure passenger pool, and that way we get into the VM. It's with a private IP and also with the browser. So we'll see that later as well. Any questions here? If you have as a person, there's also different possibilities to choose the tiers. Depending on your tier, there are also different ways on you could go on to the portal. But we also can do is actually with I think it's professional knowledge. Standard premium tier, but not, I think, not basic. You can also go via native client, so we can also just configure the RTP client and go on Azure.
So you configure that as a API?
Yes. So, any questions at this point?
We'll ask. We just jump in.
Exactly. Yeah. So the actual code is about now. I think we all it's not stuff anymore. It's the full deployment takes about 30 minutes. Deployment for the VM and Bastion takes about 20 minutes. The software installs and the database installed. In this case, it is the sample database. So of course, if you have bigger databases, it takes longer, of course, that makes sense, right? But I have like 5 databases that I'm going to restore. I'm going to demo the main points, demoing the browser object a bit. As we do that just in the PowerPoint presentation today. So we have a very good understanding on how you can adapt the script that I'm going to publish this. Yeah, first, what you have to do is always connect with the ASAP account if you work with Visual Studio Code. So that's if you the other possibility is actually to use the Azure Cloud Shell, so directly Azure also there's also a Cloud Shell you can use. And I think you don't have to use it as an account because you're already connected there, of course. So just as a concept, how I imagine this is done basically is I have a YAML file, which is there's the configuration for everything. So the idea is that I have one script that basically serves for any deployment always. And with the command line, tell the script that it should just take the YAML file, certain the YAML file, and deploy a file. So it depends.
So then a YAML file is basically the configuration, exactly, and the script gets all the stuff we need.
Exactly. So you can actually do much more with this because I also, for example, what I did in the YAML file is, of course, telling the script which software you should deploy, for example. So this means also for each developer, for example, if you have developers, they can also choose their own software, for example, and the YAML file is very easy to read. PowerShell might be very fast. So it then goes to PowerShell basically, and from there we deploy basically the Azure SQL VM. What we do also is deploy the file storage, the network drive, we actually do VM, and we also deploy EDA tools, which is the framework of commands to
That's one of the PowerShell modules, yeah.
Exactly. It's a famous one. It's actually something that I will show you a bit later. Also, you have a possibility to use PowerShell for backups, for resource backups, and basically almost everything that SQL Server Management Studio is able to do. It has now more than 700 commands, so it's a big powerful tool. Yeah, of course, as best will also be deployed here. Of course, so now I'm coming to the code structure. So you have a bit of understanding how you have to configure the PowerShell script or the YAML file that will also going to be published because you have to quite some configuration possibilities to do. And what I now want to show you is that there's a hierarchy basically of objects within Azure. So you have basically in the top tier of the gold tier, you have the regions. So each, for example, Europe, we have the Africa, we have the Americas, you have Asia, and some special region more. So it's actually something like this. We have a geography, we have the region, we have location like Switzerland North or Switzerland West, or Frankfurt, which is I think Germany Central West, something like this. And then we have every zone set, also the set of the objects that are actually attached to it. Topics, for example, not every VM that you can pick from Azure is available in every location. So you have to keep in mind that if you deploy, if you want to deploy a special certain gear that you might hit the problem that in some locations you don't have the same virtual machine available. Then you also have the SQL Server version. We have the SQL Server Edge, so the Express Standard Enterprise. We have a VM size family. So this is also this is small selection of it. There's quite a range of it. I think also we'll show you later that we have basically really small VMs that cost maybe like $3 per month that are basically just capable to put a clone keep the repository of all of this. It's just enough for that. Up to a huge, very strong, low power VMs that cost more than 100,000 Swiss francs per month, basically, you calculate everything you get. So you have a really huge range of possibilities. And you also have the possibilities of picking what kind of operating system you want, what kind of hard drive you want, what kind of that, basically. And networking also have some possibilities to configure. So if you get into it, basically, the location, like I told you, there are basically, if you really want to understand what, if you are something to look for, you chose the location. If you want to check if this specific service exists, then you can do this like this, and also you can pick the objects and adapt this script according, of course. Also can add it if you want to YAML files. There's also a possibility, of course, that you want to attach more services. And what you also can do is, of course, check how many services we actually have. So if you are in the search of the best location, if you will, just to understand, for example, we have in UK South has quite more objects to pick than the UK West. So it doesn't necessarily mean, of course, that you have more modern or less modern stuff. I just mean you have maybe also other possibilities than you have in other locations. I just want to point out that you have awareness to this.
A quick question here. The discrepancy of those providers, those 40, these aren't these aren't providers that you can enable. These are just not available in this region. Am I correct? So let's say you have 130 providers, but then still some of those providers are not turned on by default. So you need
no. What I'm saying is that if you want to turn on, then it has to be, to my knowledge, available at this location. So it says
it has to be listed.
Yes, exactly. And the object, for example, if you want to have SQL Server, let's say 2016, an older SQL Server, which might not be available for every location anymore, then you have to check if it's this location, let's say UK West has it or not. So it can happen. Or likewise, the most new SQL Server, Windows Server Edition 2025. I know this is not available in every region yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what you also can do, of course, there is basically there will be probably it's a link here you can see it. That's basically maybe here from the so basically what the here that's what I was here is the link. So it's hardly to read. I forgot to pick back because usually have a dark task. Darker mode for online conferences, but now we are not allowed to. It's What you can do is you can also find stuff like this, but it takes a bit more time, and also it's a bit more cumbersome to find. everything. So that's why I like to use PowerShell, because it has actually much more precise possibilities to get what you want. So let's go with further, and you also can do, of course, this, like I said, you have more position. You really can filter it also with context virtual, for example. We see this SQL virtual machine, that's virtual machine images, that those are basically what we actually want. So this exists now in this case in Kay Sauter and PKWs in these cases. What we also can do, of course, is say, hey, I want to know what kind of machines are available in my location. So, for example, one of course, I want to have at least 32 cores, a maximum of what is
At least 16, at most 32.
yeah, it's exactly. So at least 16 and the maximum 32, yes. And at least 46 gigabyte of RAM and maximum 120 gigabytes. So what I can do is basically just also look for this kind of stuff. I think that it's also not that easy to do on the web. There's the calculation, calculator. You also can fix stuff like this, but it's also quite cumbersome to really tell what you actually want. Last week, actually, I also started to build basically some solution to adapt this demo file, so we even can see the prices and everything. So it's actually because there's also an API via PowerShell, so you actually also have the possibility. I'm also going to establish it soon. You have the possibility to really lay down.
So you get those files and also
everything
you want the price.
is that's exactly everything basically in command line. So it's you have the possibility to browse as a clicker interact everything.
But this is like the VM. So okay.
So what this does is just the number file. This is of course also helpful for this because it's very convenient. Also because if you work in a bank, for example, then
I'm thinking about, I mean, the VM is like one cost, but the other thing is like I/O on your storage files you display, like on your data or look at this afterwards.
exactly everything. As you can actually do everything. Yeah. This is also something what I'm going to publish next week. So what you also can do is compile. I mean, this is also quite convenient if you really want to do this with the Copilot, and it gives you answers like this. For example, you can ask Copilot what kind of sizes exist in these cases. But it might be that you get wrong answers because it's AI, right? It's always a bit, yeah. So let's talk about, I told you about this also quickly, that we have a huge range of different kinds of VMs. But this is basically just a summarization of everything. It's not a complete, there are more options available. And this has real for that, actually, if you really want to see price and everything, then actually you can also go to the calculator. Here you see entry level, basically it's basically just for code repositories like this. Maybe very small group contacts. You can imagine Express Edition, for example, or in SQLite, something like this. Up to extremely large databases. I think the one I told you about that costs around, I think, just the CPU and everything, basically, I think 80,000 francs, Swiss francs per month. But if you add instant stuff like this, you get quickly over 100,000.
That's the Godzilla machines from.
It might actually
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, have also the possibility to pick the image offers. What we see here, or basically the SQL server. We can pick. We can see also what kind of Windows version we can take. Then your own license, BYOL, please, means bring your own license. That means if you have already a license, if you are a bigger company, you might want to buy SQL Server license.
You already have an enterprise agreement that includes
you have already maybe something that they also can bring along. So it actually the pricing gets cheaper. Then we also have basically is Red Hat machines. So you also can have the Linux machines with SQL Server and Ubuntu. I think that's SUSE, and also we have really a huge range of possibilities here. And here we have also SQL Server 2020 and the Windows Server 2020 and 25. I think it's.
Are you a Windows guy or a Linux guy?
Both.
Really, the both.
I like both actually. But I never use SQL Server on Linux, to be honest, because there are quite some functionalities that will be missing on Linux. But it's not to say just run on Linux. They are fully also use case.
I think that the database engine works fine. Like the tooling around is maybe.
Yeah, it's a bit. I think what doesn't work properly in the agent, and also if you want to access on the files. So I mean the network of those bunch files, like in a folder in a C file or something like this, then you also get problems. So just because it's just a different selection. It's absolutely. Then you also have the possibility to pick the tiers of your SQL Server. So with the price, we have the developer edition, which is only for non-production purposes. So if you plug it, it's free. Just SQL Server, but because you didn't need it on the space, you will buy. But it basically just this as the standard and standard engineer web. I think the web is available in some locations. Any questions so far? Looks like. So I promised you to talk about DBA tools as well. It's basically often said to be SQL Server Microsoft Studio via PowerShell. It's open source, free code on GitHub. It's created by Christine Limmer, maintained with her, with Jeff Pomfret and John Melton, and some other people as well. So now there are quite some other people. So I think in total there are now 6 people that maintain our code. It's very powerful and easy to use. I mean, so quickly. If you want to graph this, just go to dbatools.io. She also published just a new website recently that explains it very, very nicely, and also some nice examples as well.
I think it's the same guys that are now publishing a new module for neue data.
Yes.
Maybe
Not too. For me.
Fabric, the new Fabric PowerShell.
I think it's not Chrissy, but that's Rob. Rob is also
the one with
DBA with the bird. Rob, this was his last name again. No, I don't remember his. Okay. Very nice guy. Yeah, I like him a lot. So just to give you an example, what we can do here is a backup database instance. So we can actually be one single line of code do a full backup of the whole instance. So if you have 20 or even 100 of databases on one instance, that's what you actually need. You already also can specify where to store it. You also can specify what kind of type of backup you want with type full. So basically, with this line of code, you will have all databases stored in this precise place. Chocolati is also something I like to use. Based also on PowerShell. It's open source free. You can install and download the software automatically. It's a company behind it, so some of the services are not for free. It's so actually you have the possibility as a company to do package management with it. That is very. I have never used it myself, but probably very convenient to use. But for this kind of stuff, it's very easy to use because it also has a huge library and software. What they also do is they scan your targeted software. So if you download something, then you also have a antivirus scanner in place as well that checks if the software is malicious or not. Of course, that's not 100% secure, but it's still better than just the graphic component. But it also does, by the way, checking the hash codes to compare the codes that the maintainers of the code publish. So the publishers of Chakati basically check some for you automatically as well. So this is truly safe in a lot of things. So Chocolati, you have to install it as well. That it also taken care of in my script. Basically, it just deploying the script. What it does is it deploys the VM, and after that, it basically runs some script against the VM, and also installs Chocolati, installs the tools and stuff like that. So as a cost example for Chocolati is that you have Choco install Chocolati GUI, Microsoft Edge, Text Studio, Azure, everything basically gets started. You have to put in -y to say yes, exact agreements you do basically. So you have everything taken care for you. So that means you don't have to click around anymore. It's really headless. Silent station. So if you use, for example, Winget, then you download it, still have to click around to the installation interface that Microsoft gives you. But with Chocolati, this is basically not done anymore for you. It's not done anymore by you, but for you, basically. So you don't have to do that anymore. You literally can actually walk away from your computer and you get installed.
And Winget is only on the 2025 server. Winget is only on 2025 server, and on all the server you can't be with 4 servers.
Yeah, that's possible. Download that. Yeah. What you also can do with Chocolate is if you have special packages, for example, is SQL Server reporting services, you also can do configurations. Also, if you have special configurations that you need to use, you also can do that silently. So you don't have to click through the menus for installation. Here, I've just also took Power BI because I've got the question once you also can install Power BI. This So what you also can do is check for outdated software. So you basically have a screen like this. you will see basically the output of the package name, current version, available version. Okay. So basically, for serial test, if it was true, you pin down the version of it. So it doesn't change suddenly for you, but to actually pin it down to keep the version you want. So if you upgrade everything, then that pinned software won't be changing their version. So you can upgrade all software just like this, chocolate upgrade all, dash Y, and walk away from the computer install. There's also a graphical user interface. You really want to do this. It looks a bit like this. I have used it in the beginning personally, when I really was still a bit learning it. But once you get used to it, come online, it's actually faster to use. So I talked about it already. You can also automate your VM. You can actually say, I just want to start it from 8 to 9 or whatever you choose. That's possible. You can save money that way, and it's actually quite some money you can save that way because it's quite expensive to show for your own day. It's basically away because what you pay for the VM is the computing unit, so the computing that you use, but also the hosting space. Basically, you can really imagine it a bit like a hosting service or web server. You buy some space. That's what you pay. Also, of course, you can also start the game just on given dates. That means you also can say, hey, I will never run the year weekend. It's also possible. You also can do backups and restore. Of course, you can do actually basically if you really wanted to in two ways. I already talked about the backups on the database level. This is of course possible. That's a normal way you could do it, but you also can do it, of course, on the VM level. So you just take a snapshot of the whole VM and put in the storage. So it's also another way to secure the data. The restore takes a few minutes. Also can be done with PowerShell, of course. And yeah, now the data. So, what you see here,
You need to share again.
oh yeah, that happens if you pick. Can you see it?
That's good.
Great. So this is the YAML file. The YAML file is very easy to read. You have a resource group that basically also corresponds with the resource groups part of it. Resource group name basically configure resource group name, so that's pretty easy to read if you really want to doubt it. And I won't go through the whole code because the whole code is really 350 lines long. Like I said, we published this this week, so you can have your free time to read everything. Network, I already talked about this as well. To the network, actually, I would not really change anything here unless you really know what you do, because if you do this, then you probably will waste an hour very quickly, because I did it the past as well. So security rules as well, basically just rules just keeping out some stuff because what we want to go down, I didn't tell you about yet is we also deploy a keyboard if needed. So if you don't have a keyboard yet, it also gets deployed. It also generates basically a password for the VM. So if you go into the VM, basically you need a password. So it also takes care of that. So the developer can get this password basically also they just enter into the VM. Yeah, the credentials and the VM also important, right? The keyboard is also basically used. No, the keyboard is also going to be used in this exactly. Is if you want to attach your file storage to as a network drive, then you need to have also a string that is basically a password that you can attach to. So this is also a security means to protect it that other people can't access your storage. So of course you need to have a password to attach to be able to be able to access your own file storage. So you also can use it as a network drive on your VM. It's also what the keyboard will handle. Right. So here in VM we can say the sizes here towards the yes. 13 E2 basically the SKU this case is a developer edition and so on. So the button I chose here in this case is basic. We have a storage here. I have a standard alerts, which is actually the cheapest one, because it's not very fast. Disk, because I think it's the old-fashioned hard disk drive, the magnetic drive, and not the SSD yet. For demo purpose, this is actually perfect. But if you really want to have something that is for production, then you might want to pick a SSD drive. And here we cannot define the drive letter and we attach to. So the rest I will skip because it is too much otherwise. So yeah, this gets to just like this. I might copy down the password to my VM because I'm deleting everything later anyways. Doesn't matter. Hope you not exhausting it. So hopefully you don't see it really soon. Now on Azure, I'm going actually to my resource group. My resource group is shown here. Everything what you see here is in this resource group and also this CQP. So I click on it. Then I can select connect via button. And here I have to enter the password and the username. I'm not sure anymore what is the username. Checking the yellow bar. And that's okay. Yeah.
here it says basically we can also text detail identification of login zeigen. We can also log in, or we can allow it, which we do here. Networks here I'm choosing no. And we have basically really fresh here that I deployed like with less than an hour ago. So maybe half an hour ago. So what we see here, for example, we have Git, we have Tableau Editor, which is actually something I installed it like this. This is not standard on this machine, so it's something that has been installed through the script. We have, of course, SQL Server Management Studio. I could also have taken the freedom to deploy, of course, the new one. Actually, the old one. And now we see there are no database restored yet, because the problem is if I run the script, then basically the script runs as a system user. And the system user is not a user you really want to use for security reasons or good databases. But what we can have is basically we have now the network drive. Yeah. So here network drive restore databases. Yeah, I hope it works because I couldn't test it same bodies. So never tested production. You know?
We'll give it a try. Then you probably can set it to chat.
Sorry?
Als je moet toch even in pauze het chat. Ach zo.
Ja, doe het dus nou.
Ja, maar basis is toch even het chat over. Hoe is het daar ook?
Ja. No bug files land. Yeah, it's live. There are no bug files for some reason. I don't know why, but yesterday I had some bug files. I think I lost it. So yeah, I have to upload it.
Probably it searches for bug files that are in that directory.
Exactly. I lost it for some reason. Not sure why. But basically, the idea is that we can show you the script here.
So my question would be more like, so you have, or why would you choose a VM with SQL Server on it, and not use either SQL database service or managed service? So what, like 0.1 or 1%?
I think that's a good question to ask. Just give you some examples. If you have a file stream, then the only way you can use it is in SQL Server VMs.
So that's when you have like a folder with files in it, and you need to access those files.
Yes, exactly. Another reason is of zeros.
Sure.
I think SQL Server mentioned that can it in public everything. So there are limited but not functional VPCLRs. Okay. There are other stuff, especially if you have bigger data warehouse solutions. You quickly run into problems if you really want to use nothing is impossible to say. It can be quickly fail, so it's actually safer to use it to SQL Server VM. Also because the code, for example, on MI, actually instance, MI, it's not 100% the same like in the SQL Server.
Would you say it's like I have my SQL Server on-prem, and this is like my backup if something in the prem happens? I could easily turn that on as like my fail safe, or would you say it's more like that's my primary database, and maybe I'll do a like cluster stuff also in Azure?
So what you can do is, I mean, one of the use cases is why you actually use your on-prem solution to Azure is that you want to be able to available clusters. So you actually have the possibility to manage it via Microsoft. Microsoft do that for you. Also, Microsoft can actually also patch your system for you if you want to. But you can configure this. So they can actually also say, for example, I want to have the Windows program for patching and stuff like this. You can also configure it actually. So you have the full control with this. And then you have also the possibility to design the solution exactly the way you want. For example, if you want to have an HA, a higher VT solution with failover, so with low shipping, whatever. If you have really installed functionality of SQL Server,